you guys my July TBR and also my July wrap up, and then I want to share my August TBR. So let's get started. First, I want to share with you guys my thoughts on the books I read in July. Right now, I didn't get the physical copies down, but I could put pictures up here. So anyways, the first book I read for the month of July was Ask for Andrea. This was like a thriller mystery. I found it on Kindle Unlimited. It was kind of weird at first to read because I was not expecting the different POVs of the victims. So that's not really nice. That's one thing I did like, is getting the different perspectives of each victim. But they are like ghosts and they literally follow their murderer. So that was very interesting. You not only see how they died, you also see, my books just fell, but you also see what they go through mentally in life and afterlife, and you also see what kind of person their murderer is. So I thought that was very cool. I did rate it 5 stars, and one of the notes that I really put down was I really was in love with the suspense in the story. So that was really cool. So Ask for Andrea by Noelle. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Anyways, the second book I read was A Fate in Inked Blood. So this one was, I got it from Book of the Month. This is like a Viking fantasy story about like the gods and everything like that. I think it's mainly focused on not Odin. I forgot her name. I'll put it right here because I literally forgot. Anyways, it followed the female character. She first started out living in a little small village with a husband that she didn't really like, and then she kind of met this man who she was kind of falling for. And I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, from there she finds out who she truly is, and there her journey kind of starts. It is a series. I don't have the second book. I've only read the first one. I don't even think they came out with the second book yet, so I think that's still coming. This one I rated it 4 stars. Let's see. So this book was by Danielle Jensen. The notes I wrote down was, I look forward to this book every single day. So I remember literally being at work and then I couldn't wait to come home and read it. And I just loved it. I just loved the politics. I loved the characters. I loved the theology behind it. I just loved all of that pretty much. I loved the fighting as well. So as you're reading, you do get detailed descriptions about what she goes through during like her battles and stuff. So I really liked that. It was gonna be 5 stars, but I did not like how it ended. And I can't say anything because that would give spoilers, but I did not like how it ended at all. I thought that the author could have done better, could have even left on more of a cliffhanger, but other than that, it was 4 stars. Yeah, the last note was a spoiler, so I can't say that at all. The third book I read was The Goal, so it was part of the Off-Campus series, which I have loved every book so far in that series. Like, that series is pretty cool. Like, Elle Kennedy did a really good job with that. Let's see. I rated that 4 out of 5 stars. Every day also I looked forward to reading it. I stayed up reading it. I just loved it. And I love Elle Kennedy's books as well. I loved the character development. I loved the setting, which is obviously they're in college. I was not, like, I was kind of treading, I don't know, kind of felt like I was stepping on eggshells because it did involve unexpected pregnancy, and I don't really like unexpected pregnancy in books. I think that's why I didn't give it a 5 stars, is because I felt like it was unnecessary, but at the same time, she wrote about a character who had everything together in a hard situation, so why not make it harder, pretty much. And I felt like the male character, I felt like he was saying and being okay with everything too easily. Like, realistically, I would be freaking out. And she was freaking out, but he was like not freaking out, but kind of freaking out. So it was just like, I felt like I could have needed more realistic expectations from the male character. But other than that, he is the best. Literally a mama's boy, always there for her, even when she didn't want to date, even when she didn't want him to be tied down. He wanted it all. Like, he wanted the family, he wanted everything. And that's one thing I did love about the characters, was despite all their problems, despite everything, every obstacle that was put in their path, they were a team. So I loved that, because they were a team. They stuck by each other's side no matter what. They rarely fought about anything. Like the other books, like the guys messed up, right? But in this book, it was more like they were a team, which I really appreciated and really loved. And I think that's why I gave it the 4 stars. I hated her uncle, or not her uncle, her stepdad. I hated her stepdad. I don't even know, like, why didn't the grandma kick him out? Like, why was he there? I hated it. I hated him. I hated him. I was mad at the grandma, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess, right? Is the next book I read, oh my god. This one was probably at not 5 stars, but pretty close. I want to say it was a 4.8 stars out of 5 stars. This one was called The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This was my first Riley Sager book ever. This book, honestly, I was not expecting the plot twist at the end. Like, okay, I remember reading it and I'm like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. Like, I already know how this is gonna end. I do like the characters. I do like the suspense. I just like, towards the end, there was one plot twist I did not expect. And then after that, I didn't even expect any of them. Like, I was like amazed. I was shocked. I was surprised. I just really love this book. So next week, I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble and probably buy another Riley Sager book because of how much I enjoyed it. I probably would have finished it faster, but I just didn't want it to end, like, at all. So I was, like, deciding to cut in my pages each day. I was just like, okay, like, I don't want this to end. I don't know what I'm going to do when it ends. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to think when it ends. And it did give me nightmares. Not gonna lie, like, I woke up with anxiety. I did have nightmares because I was just like dreaming of myself on this cliff in this scary house with this scary sibling. And yeah, I love the Hope sisters, the good and the bad. I love the Hope sisters. I love I do love, oh, what was that, the maid, Jessie or Jessica, I forgot. Anyways, I just love that story. Like, I was not expecting any of the twists in there, and that is what I think a thriller is supposed to feel like. You're supposed to feel surprised and supposed to feel scared. I just really feel like it did its job, so that's why I feel like it was a 4.8. I do think it was missing that little bit of the next star because I didn't like who the murderer was, if that makes sense. Like, I was not expecting that, and I also wish I got more background between the character and her mother, but that's okay. Other than that, it was great. It was great. And then that leaves me on to my August books. So this is my little journal. I already literally almost done with one of them, and that is my current read, which is King of Greed by Anna Hyung. So this book, oh my gosh, I didn't think I was gonna like this book, specifically because it is kind of like a second chance, you know? It is a second chance. Literally, he is dying to get a second chance, but then he's had multiple chances. Anyways, and they are married, so you don't really get that beginning. So I really thought, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll read it just to complete the series. But already into the first chapter, like, I was just like, oh my god. Dominic and Alessandra, like, what? Like, Alessandra, I relate to her so much because I know what it feels like to be in a relationship and want that attention intimately, mentally, emotionally. They may be right there next to you or they won't. Like, I know what it feels like to want those things in a relationship when you have been together for so long. So it's like, hey, we already got this, like, we're here now, but it's gone. So I know what she was, every time it describes how she feels, I'm like, girl, that's valid. Like, you don't deserve that. No one deserves that. And then you kind of get Dominic's point of view. Like, you get his mindset a little bit, but at the same time, he also understands or works to understand what he is doing wrong. And it sucks that they had to get to that point for him to realize. But, you know, maybe that's what needs to be done, you know, in a book, in life. Maybe that's what needs to happen, is this big thing needs to happen for a person to realize. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. And they're fictional, and they should be perfect, but they weren't perfect. And this story is just great. So, like, I already annotated a lot in the beginning, and I feel like that is a super good sign of a 5-star book, is when you annotate a lot in the beginning. And I love, this is a spoiler, so skip ahead if you don't want to hear this, but I just love the fact that he stalks her, and not subtly at all. He does it pretty obviously. Like, he shows up, he's there, he does not care if you know that he's stalking you. Like, he literally will go to all lengths to win her back. But like, let's see, I'm on page 140, and she's already wanting to cave in, so I'm kind of scared for what is this. But I think it kind of has to do with his brother Roman, who seems really cool but not cool. I'm gonna keep those thoughts to myself. Anyways, I think that has to do with Roman, his brother, and I also can't wait to get Dominic's background, because even though I've got a little bit from him, I'm kinda want more. But to be honest, I'm way more in love with the female character than I am the male character. I just love her and I relate to her, and I just think that she is an overall beautiful character. I think they are my favorite. I think this is my favorite book out of the series, just because normally I don't like second chances. I really don't. But this is done so beautifully so far that and it hits me in a deep place that no second chance book has ever done. So I think that is my favorite book, but still at the end of the day, Dante is my favorite character. Anyways, yeah, so that's the one I'm currently reading for this month. Now I'm gonna get to my TBR. Let me just drink something real quick. Okay, this one is by Chloe Gong. I know, one hardback, one paperback, but these were gifts, and people look at my wish list, but they don't check to see paperback or hardback. But I shouldn't be complaining because it was for free, and books are expensive nowadays. Anyways, so these are my next reads for this month. These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends. So actually, I do think this was a pre-order. I think this took a while for me to get. That's why I held off on this for so long. This one is the first book. This one right here is the second book. So let me read the summary. The year is 1926, and Shanghai hums to the tune of debauchery. Girl, Chloe Gong, what are you doing? A book I read from her was Immortal something. It'll be right here. Anyways, so I did read that book. I remember it was an audiobook, and I'm not gonna lie, reading it, I tried reading it at first, that's why I switched to audiobook, but reading it was so difficult for me. Like, it was so difficult. The letters were super tiny. I was just like, I can't do this. And the book was thick. It was literally as thick as this one, but with tiny words. Like, these are normal words. Anyways, that book was difficult, and I remember reading the audiobook, and actually, literally, like, the imagery was fantastic. I was able to picture it in my mind. I was able to do that, so that's a good thing. Anyways, it says, a blood feud between two gangs runs the streets red, leaving the city helpless in the grip of chaos. So it's about two gangs. It says, at the heart of it all is 18-year-old Juliet, a former flapper who has returned to assume her role as the proud heir of the Scarlet Gang. Oh my god, a flapper! I was not expecting that. A flapper girl? Those are awesome. I was looking at this cover. I was not expecting a flapper girl. I hope that's the same thing in here. I don't know. Anyways, they're only rivals in the power of the White Flowers, so I'm assuming that's one of the gangs, who have bought the Scarlets, so Scarlets and the White Flowers. Damn, those are nice. And behind every move is their heir, Roma, Juliet's first love and first betrayal. Okay. Is this enemies to lovers, Chloe Gong? Chloe. I love them. I love enemies to lovers. But when gangsters on both sides show signs of instability, accumulating and clawing their own throats out, the people start to whisper of a contagion, a madness, or is it drugs, or a virus? I'm actually loving this! Of a monster in the shadows. This is like reminding me of Crescent City, of, if you read it, of what they find out is happening to people. That kind of reminds me, those are the vibes, those are giving me those memories. This is giving me those memories of that book, of what happened in Crescent City. So maybe it might be like that. So as this deaths stack up, Juliet and Roma must see their guns and grudges aside and work together. If they can't stop this mayhem, then there will be no city left either to rule. Girl, that literally feels like it would be like Crescent City, but not so much. I just can't wait to read this, actually, because a flapper girl, come on, in the 1920s? Why didn't I think about that? Anyways, the next one, this has been an anticipated read. I have been waiting to read this series, not only because when I first got introduced to Book Talk, this series was all over the place. Like, I already feel like I know what happens in this series. I already know the love interest. It still goes around on TikTok as well, so it's more like I kind of avoided reading it because I didn't want to get my expectations so high and then be disappointed when I read the series. But I've heard it is so good. I know every TikTok I've seen, everyone has loved it so far. So this one is the Shatter Me series. So I put these two books down just so I can get started anyways with the series. So Shatter Me and Unravel Me. And these covers are beautiful. And I know one thing. When I read this series, I can't wait to learn why each of them has an eyeball on it. Like, why? Like, covers literally holds all your information. Like, you read your book, you look at the cover, and you're like, oh. You're like, oh, now that makes sense. You know, so that's something that I look forward to. So Shatter Me. This is the book I can't wait to read. Everyone knows about this book. It is way too late for me now. So I'm like, okay, I need to start this book before Halloween. I need to start this series, finish it, because it does give me fall, winter, you know, those vibes, rain, all of that. So I figured this is a really good time to start this series. By Tahara Mafi. I think that's how you say it. But these covers are absolutely fantastic. Like, really, really nice. I already hear about Aaron Warner way too much. This is another one by Tahara Mafi. These were gifts. So I remember actually getting the paperback and somebody gave me the hardback. Yeah, my poor bookshelf is going to be a little uneven, but that's okay. Anyways, it's This Woven Kingdom, I almost said These Woven Vows, but that was the other one. Anyways, this cover, like, this cover is so beautiful. It's shiny, like, the roses, the details, like, she really knows what she's doing when it comes to these covers. Like, girl, oh my god, I just realized this is a little promoted on her book. This is a sign. It's literally Tahara Mafi month. I'm making that a thing. Anyways, so this is my next read. I actually don't know what this one is about, so I'm going to read this. So it's quoted, "Forbidden romance steams up the pages." Oh my god. It already starts you off with forbidden romance. Okay, I think this is going to be good. Of this Persian mythology-inspired fantasy series. I've never read anything Persian related. I've read about Greece. I've read about... I can't even think about anything right now. But I have never ever read a series based off of Persian mythology. So that is crazy. So it's where devils whisper unwelcome prophecies and princes fall in love with ice-eyed jinn. Okay, the only place or whatever I've ever heard of jinn was probably in my favorite show, Supernatural. You get so many supernatural creatures and so much background off of mythology everywhere in that show. So, come on now. Come on now. You're going to put Jim into this series? Jinn? Isn't like that the supernatural creature where they kind of like give you these dreams or nightmares or whatever? I don't know, but either way, this is a forbidden romance, first off. Persian mythology. And devil's whispers. Now those fantasies, I remember reading a lot in middle school. And still, middle school me in here eats these up. So, that is my TBR for this month. My goals are to read 10 books a month, but I read on the average of 5-6 books a month. And I do audiobooks, so I count that as reading. So altogether, that is 5 books a month. I read 5 books last month, and I'm really proud of myself because I go to work and go to school, and it takes up a lot of your time. And I also don't sleep. So that takes up a lot of my time. Anyways, that was my TBR. I hope you guys loved this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy your August TBR. I hope you guys enjoy the new books that are coming out. I will do a new video on releases. I am very well diving into Elsie Silver. I've been seeing her everywhere. I've been seeing her books. I've been collecting her books. That way I can do a video on Elsie Silver and read her books for a month. So I am so grateful for those of you who listen, and I am also grateful that I have this many books to read for the month of August. Anyways, thank you. Love you guys. Bye.